Okay, let's get started tonight. Welcome, come on in. I'm sure others will be joining us as they hurry home from work, you know, get something to eat, get the kids fed, and then finally get here. So thank you for coming tonight. I'm Pastor Mike, the lead pastor at Celebration, and we're glad that you're all here tonight. We're going to actually, I want to welcome those that are on Facebook Live. We're going to let this run for about the first 30 minutes, 45 minutes when Paul shares a lot of the content. And then we're going to say goodbye to you guys as we get into some more customized, personalized questions that maybe you have. And so we won't be putting that over on social media. All right? So anyways, let's have a word of prayer. All right? Father, thank you for your help tonight. We just are so careful to give you praise and glory tonight, knowing that we need your wisdom. We need your strength to do this task of parenting. And so we ask for your help tonight. Thank you for the gifts of the church that you have assembled here tonight. And we just want you to add your blessing to everything that is said and done tonight. In Jesus' name. Amen. So this is the first of a couple of parenting labs that we're doing this summer. Let me get my little notes here just to kind of give you a heads up. We have another one coming up July 25th, the last night in VBS. So if you got kids in VBS, they'll be having fun. And we're opening this up to parents to come on down for that. And that one's going to be focusing on parents and kids in a tech world and dealing with respect and discipline. So that'll be a good one to be a part of. And then we're going to have Paul come back in August, August 21st for another parenting lab. And we normally don't do these in the summertime just because vacations, but I don't know, we just thought, let's give it a try. We try them throughout the year, and so we'll give it a try and see how it goes. But I'm so glad to have my good friend, Paul Eschbach, here tonight. We're more than friends, we're brother-in-laws, okay? He's the smart one.
You're the better golfer.
Well, that's debatable.
I must have a great day.
So we've been in the family, married sisters for many, many years. We've already celebrated 34 years. You guys are just a little bit behind us, but raised great kids. Paul is very accomplished as far as being a behavioral therapist. He's been an owner-operator of his own company for many, many years, and just very accomplished in this whole field. So I know you're going to love his presentation, but I just appreciate you, Paul, and I'm not, you can say what you want to say about yourself and everything else, and we just want to turn it over to you. So,
all right, thank you, Pastor Mike. Yeah, hi everybody. I'm very excited to be here talking about kids and raising children. I don't think there's any other thing that is as important as raising kids. You're actually literally building civilization 1 hour at a time. It's wonderful when it goes well, and it's just so difficult when it doesn't go well. Mm-hmm. So I'm here to give any support that we can. Married to Robin here for 31 years. Raised 2 girls that are down in Florida, married now, and suffering in the 90+ degree.
That's it behind me. There you go.
With a lot of humidity. I lived in Dillsburg here all of our lives, for the most part. All of our married life. And company owner, like Mike was saying, Pastor Mike was saying, for children that have autism and related disabilities, we serve South Central Pennsylvania, 4 or 5 school districts. We provide service, we contract with them individually for behavior support. We just had a school district happily report to us that they've got a number of students that they're not putting out of district in private schools because of the support that we bring. And it's not just a generalized support, it's actually...
Call back in, okay.
That was quick.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry.
What'd you learn?
Thanks so much.
Leave your phone at home, that's what I learned.
I'm sorry.
Not a problem.
Hey, we know his truck says on call.
Right, all the time. Thank you.
And so we take some of the most drastic behavioral issues in this area, the geographic area of Pennsylvania, and we handle them professionally, and we build people's private health insurance. So we're a medically operated licensed facility. as well as school districts, home services, and we use one procedure, one model of therapy called applied behavior analysis. We all have to be trained in it, licensed in it, certified in it. It's no small thing, and it's unbelievably powerful. So we'll take some of the most problematic children, young adults, and younger adults, 18 to 21 years old, and shape and modify and change environments. People with not just like a brain-based disability like autism, but actually medical conditions, cognitive delays, tuberous sclerosis, Down syndrome, a lot of issues that are confounding and crossing over. And I just wish I had known all of this when I was raising kids. So, that being said, it's really great to be here. I look forward to it. Like we said, we're gonna field any questions you have. And I would tell you what I might do from the perspective of a professional behavior analyst. We know in the literature that there's different kinds, there's basically, for decades that it's been studied, there's 3 family styles, 3 ways that people parent. So let's see if we can spot your style. They are the control, what we call the authoritarian parent, or parenting style. It's very passive parenting style, and this is the balance we're always trying to hit, the authoritative. And so let's just dive into these for a quick minute and see some of the details. Key component, you're using a fly swatter. You should be using a fly swatter, not a sledgehammer. Key components, high on control, low on warmth, personalized bad behavior. You're an Eschbach, you should never do that. How dare you do that? I can't believe you did that. Just loading up heaps of shame on just a behavior that needs to get shaped. Maternal authoritarian attitudes independently predicted the development of conduct problems 5 to 10 years later at age 10. So it is a problem. It's honestly, it has robust backing in the literature. This is highly, highly predictable. It's twin or it's corollary. It's being passive. And I love my child. Might be afraid of tears. Never let the child cry. Afraid of confrontation. High on warmth, low on control. Unfortunately, this is really unsatisfying to tell people because I can't like highly identify or define what each of these are. Everyone's a little bit different. And so right now it's left up to you to figure it out. And so you're going to have to sit there and think on yourself, well, which parent am I? Am I authoritative? Am I a little Hitler in my house? Am I controlling everything? I've been told I've been controlling before. Or am I just passive? Am I a bump? And keep in mind that the worst information I can get from a human being is self-report. Self-report has the lowest reliability of any kind of information you can give. So instead of me just sitting wondering and guessing, am I authoritative, authoritarian, or passive? I could ask a spouse. Or ask a friend. Okay, how much of a jerk am I? Where am I on the scale? Do you see me as? That takes a ton of courage and vulnerability. But you get better. Otherwise, I'm stuck putting the clues together for a decade or 2. Oh yeah, but my kids are gone. I guess I was a bit of a beast. And I didn't figure it out for 15 years. Well, I just kind of messed some things up. So yeah, be brave enough to get that feedback. Here's the sweet spot that we want to hit. Authoritative. Your parenting style is warm and responsive, very clear rules. By the way, as kids get smarter, this gets tougher. Well, you didn't say, and they just fill in the gap. Oh, it's obvious I meant that too. High expectations, supportive, and they value independence, outcomes, higher academics, better self-esteem, more social skills, less mental illness, and lower delinquency rates. So that's our, there's some research here behind it too. Authoritative parenting, which is what we want, provided the most significant contribution to the explanation of the variance in resilience for Black and white adolescents and both genders. In contrast, other researchers found that authoritarian and harsh parenting styles are closely related to psychological disturbance. So before we go any farther, I want to answer this question: am I a bad parent? And this was stunning to me when I read this, and very freeing. Moderate aggression that decreases sharply to no aggression by school entry. School entry is what, 5?
Mm-hmm.
Is associated with good adjustment at age 12. And they went on later to define good adjustment as mentally stable, as opposed to those that were up to kindergarten age and were unbelievably compliant. That's a weird one right there. That's very counterintuitive. Moderate aggressions. So your children that were 1 to 4.5 years old, right before kindergarten, that were moderately aggressive, were your most mentally healthy kids. They're operating on their environment. See, you didn't have as much to worry about as you thought, maybe. This is wonderful news. And but if you think about it, when you're 1 to 4.5 years old, what kind of social problem-solving skills do you have? Can you compromise?
Yes,
Do you know how to negotiate? Do you know how to take turns when you're escalated? Do you know how to? No, they have none. They've got none. They have biting, hitting, kicking, spitting, punching, screaming, toweling. That's their problem-solving set all the way to kindergarten.
Is that what you mean by moderate aggression?
Yeah.
They're expressing something.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want our kids all the way up to kindergarten to be operating on their environment. Another person might say manipulating their environment to build the best life for them they can. But they've got no concept of others, a very little concept of others. Anyway, it's not till they get 3.5 years old that they're able to say, and it's called theory of mind, they're able to think about what somebody else is thinking about. So they do these experiments. Well, the first one is they took a big 2 or 3 foot high paper mache mountain. They painted one side red and they painted the other side blue. And they said to the 3.5-year-olds, okay, you and your mommy walk around the mountain. Oh, what color do you see? Oh, red. And the other side, what color do you see? Oh, I see blue. Okay, Mom, stay there. Come here, Johnny. Come over here. Now, what color does Mommy see? And Johnny's looking at blue and he looks up and says, Mommy sees blue. He can't think about what another person is thinking about. So how is Johnny ever going to share, because it's important to share in the bigger picture? There's no bigger picture to be had. Little John's life is right there. He cannot see. And so there's no other there's no theory of mind. There's no perspective taking. And so problem solving is next to none for our young ones. And let's look at a little bit of the research. They study compliance in this way in psychosocial terms. They'll say, they'll give the child a non-preferred demand, and if the child engages the demand, non-preferred, meaning like, hey, stop playing and clean up the toys, or go over here and get me that. If the child stops within 10 seconds without any second prompt, it's considered successful. So if you're 2 to 3 years old, you're going to be compliant 32% of the time. So for every parent that's like, yeah, that's my kid. Less than half of the time, this kid cares about what I say or think or tell them to do. 4 to 5 years old, 80% of the time they're going to do it. Another study, 60 to 80% compliance in preschool children, kindergarten through 3rd grade, it's at 72%. So we're still not bad and real hot. This is not good news. But so what I'm saying is these are averages. So if your child's above that or floating around that, that's great. What you don't want to see is your child finishing kindergarten and he's still hitting, kicking, slapping, punching, and snatching and grabbing and screaming. Once kindergarten hits 5.5 years old, you want to see that decline to almost 0. across cultures, this is very fascinating. Across 12 different cultures, 2 to 3 year olds were 72%. Some of other cultures, very, very different. And there's no explanation given. We're left guessing what that might be.
What's your guess?
I have no guess. I have no guess, except that I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah.
Combine that, we are the richest, most affluent country in the history of the world, and we just could be spoiled.
Yeah.
You know, something's going a little sideways. But how important is this? I don't know. I'm not sure that that's highly important. I mean, we value that, but should we value it at 2 to 3 years old? I don't know. That's an unanswered question. 6 to 8 years old, no alarm bells going off here. Girls are generally more compliant than boys.
Seems to me like maybe some of the Asian cultures teach honor from like infancy, and maybe they score higher because they've just been told like you honor that pop or mom or whatever. But
What's the consequences of them in the other countries?
I don't know.
Do they beat them? I mean,
Yeah.
right?
There's a lot of questions there. How do you elicit that level of compliance in a child that young? How did that happen? That's a really good question.
without being the control people.
Yeah, maybe they're high on control. Well, hey, welcome there. So functions of behavior, as a behavior analyst, it was 1986, I think, which is not kind of that long ago. It still is 40 something, maybe 38 years or something like that, 36 years. And the world of behavior analysis was simply only revolved around token economies and behavior shaping. And then there was a scientist named Iwata who learned how to apply an intervention, a behavioral intervention, to the function of the behavior. And everything changed. And applied behavior analysis became world famous. It's one of the few therapies that's only recommended for children with autism because it's so effective. Surgeon General, American Academy of Pediatrics, American Medical Association, all of your government associated, large and private institutions recommend applied behavior analysis. Because of this right here, these 4 little words: escape, attention, sensory, tangible. Tangible means things like toys or food. So, what is the function of the behavior? So when the little 1.5-year-old is near mom, and he or she trips on the ground, and you can tell it was a light, there was nothing happening. The child most likely is not hurt. But he knows or she knows the mom's right there, so they're laying it on thick, wah, they're crying, and you know that the function of that behavior is attention. That's simply all we're talking about. For those of you that are in the school classroom, which is all of us, but for those of you that teach or that are currently teaching, you know that there's a class clown. All of that behavior, class clownish behavior, is for attention. Sensory is things like I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, it's too cold, it's too hot, I'm tired, I'm bored, stiff. Escape would be escape mostly from like demands. Clean your room. I don't want to go in the house. My parents only yell at me, and they might ask me to do some chores. Escape from anything uncomfortable. And then tangible. I want that toy, and I want that food, and I want that thing, and I'm going to get it. So these are your basic four food groups for the behavior analyst. And so if you say, well, my child does this or that, and we explain how the behavior looks, they snatch and they pull hair all the time. I really haven't heard anything yet. Because I've got to find out, like, well, what happens? Like, tell me more, because we got to get to this. So if you want to be really effective as a parent, you're digging down to this, and this is all about 3-year-olds and teenagers and adults.
Yeah.
Put ourselves in there.
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I mean, you want to welcome to my kingdom, good and faithful servant. That's his attention. I'm working for his attention. I'm working for his approval. In the hyper-faith movement, people are working for money and perfect health on earth. That's a tangible thing. escape from hell. So these all work in faith. It's an odd kind of thing, but it's not, there's nothing spooky about this. It's very, very down to earth. Grandma would like it. Because we see all this all the time. And we have, the fun thing is that we've got scientific ways, like we'll take a child and take them for a few hours and actually test different conditions on this child. It's called functional behavior analysis to figure out what category is this problem behavior abiding in or most responsive to. And so if you want to really address this, if you really are serious about addressing behavior, you'll find yourself in one of two camps. You've got behavior reduction and skill acquisition. That's like almost, that is like the two umbrellas of everything we do. Yeah, I want to see this go down, but that means I have to reinforce another competing behavior or a skill that's just not there. So if they're 3.5 or 4.5 years old and they're swiping, I was with a 3.5-year-old in a daycare, and he had autism, moderate autism, and any children, and he's building towers in a daycare. Well, when you build a tower around other 3 or 4-year-olds, there's only one thing in mind. I gotta push that thing over. So, but he loved to build his towers. And so here come the kids, and he's going at it with his teeth. Oh no. And so that was obviously intangible. He wanted to keep his things. And so that's all it was about for him. So sometimes it's very clear and sometimes it's not. Sometimes a little bit of both. So for escape behavior, homework, chores, any kind of demand, children might engage, people might engage in escape behaviors. Oh, mom, I'm sick, I'm busy, I don't have to do that till tomorrow. It's really not due, I can wait another day or two. Those are all kind of escaping behaviors, right? And so.
You said behavior reduction and skill reinforcement? Is that the
Skill
second?
acquisition.
Acquisition, okay.
So for a child that's engaging in high rates of escape behaviors, we want to starve the escape, which means keep the demand on. No, you're going to do your homework. And then we also have to reinforce as much as possible when the child, because the children almost always, I'm saying that because there's got to be an exception out there, but I've never seen it. They almost always show engagement at different levels. They're not only all escaping all the time during homework or chores or any kind of demand. They're not only escaping. There's sometimes when they do it, and that's when a parent has to go, I see that. That's what I'm talking about, good job. So if you want to talk about punishment, you can. Hey, but if you don't hit reinforcement, you're way out of whack. And it's almost like, matter of fact, we can't, if we keep the demand on, no, you're going to do this chore. Yeah, you're going to sweep this mess you just made. Sweep it. Let's go. Let's get the broom. Put it in your hand. Yep, let's go. Sweeping. Show me. That's right. Show me. No. This is sweeping. That's right. I'm going in and out. Show them sweeping. Yeah, that's right. Hand over hand, because people hate that. That's sweeping. That's right. Now let it go. If I'm going to do that, I hope as soon as he's done sweeping, that's excellent. That's sweeping. And if I say, hey, let's come over here. Excellent. That's what I'm talking about. Give me a high five. Now let's run around the house. So there's actually some ratios out there. And there's different ratios in different studies. 4 to 12, 3 to 3. But it's got, if you're going to engage 2 or 3 punishers, like you're actually forcing a child to do some chores, some homework, finish something, you better have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11, or 12 moments of reinforcement of the skill acquisition that they have to have. So there was we had just an 11-year-old here that is a couple of years old, but he would come home, he wouldn't do any homework for mom. It was a divorce situation, it was quite acrimonious, the child was upset, he had autism, but he was in a lot of regular ed classes, and he would come home and he would curse out his mom and then go play video games with the thing online, and he's cursing out everybody else that's on the game as well. And if he didn't like it, he'd take everything out and he'd chuck it, maybe break it. And so mom's like, what do I do? Well, we got to start somewhere. And so we had him come home. I said, can you do homework? Oh yeah, he can do it. He can do it. Matter of fact, he does he does work at school. And so he came home and he did, we had to do one problem, and then he went to play video. And then the next day we did one problem, and then he went to did his video. And the next day he came and we did two. And he's a smart kid. He's like, are you guys just doing this and you're just gonna build to like 50 or something? Like, yeah, it's something like that. But we used maybe this is a thing for August. We used a different schedule for reinforcement that builds the strongest behaviors. There's actually ways to build very, very strong behavior. It's called a scheduled reinforcement, where it wasn't one problem, then video, two problems, then video, three problems. It was more like one, then three, the next day, then one video, the next day, then four, and then video, and then the next day it was one and video, until we got like repetitive, predictable responding, finishing 1 to 4 homework problems, and then we went to 9, anywhere between 1 to 9, and it was randomly picked. And I was there for about 2 or 3 months, and then we left, and he was doing 30 minutes of homework every single day, 90 problems, 100 problems solved, using a scheduled reinforcement, and not removing the demand. The escape behavior was, let me alone, I gotta play my video games. We kept the demand on. Oh. Attention. This is a fun one.
Oh, I've seen that.
Smart kid.
You should show the adult version of that.
There's an adult version.
Yeah, there should be.
Yeah. And if that wasn't addressed, what kind of adult would that be?
Right.
And I think we can all say with confidence that the parents shape that behavior.
Mm-hmm.
How is it, do you think, that the parents might shape a behavior like that? How did that happen? What did they actually literally have to do?
They would have given in to him at some point when he threw that fit.
Yeah. And which camp did they fall in? Authoritarian, control, or passive?
That's
Very passive. Just like, oh, don't cry. I hate confrontation. I'm afraid of your tears. Here, have some more mom attention. And when you variably supply reinforcement, you make a behavior so strong you'll see this. So if we wanted to, let's say we want to run an intervention to stop attention, we would start attention for the problem behavior, which in a classroom is so hard because the class clown gets it from his peers. But at home or in other spots, you can start that. But then, as soon as you see a child behaving well or getting attention appropriately, you have to, the light switch has to go up, no matter how angry it made me the first time. And yes, what can I help you with? And I give them tons of like glowing FaceTime. Yeah, what's going on, man? And then as soon as they're like, I'll turn business-like, neutral, and very boring. And then maybe 30 seconds, a minute later, they're asking for attention appropriately. Hey, mom, dad, I got this thing. Yeah, what is it? Tell me. It's light switch parenting. It's unbelievably hard because you got to be in control of your emotions and not blame the kids for making me mad because nobody makes me mad. It's just not a thing. It feels like that. If they hadn't done that, I wouldn't be mad. I think you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Sensory is all things food, hungry, tired, under overstimulated, temperatures, thirsty, and tangible items. Behavior aimed at getting or keeping things like toys, food, activities. I have a video thing I can't show. I couldn't get the HIPAA release from mom in time. But we had a child that was, she was on the spectrum, and if you touched his iPad when he was playing it, oh my, yeah, you better take your glasses off and be at arm's length, because he was coming in hot.
Wow.
He was swinging, and he was good at it. Some kids are bad at violence, and some kids are good. And when they're tinies, they're not good at it, so that's fine. But when they get into the 8 to 11 to 15, boy, you gotta watch out. And he was one of those children. And so, explain this to mom. You've got to, you cannot remove the demand. And then as soon as he's done tantruming, and to keep yourself safe, he'll be grabbing for you maybe, or running for property to destroy something in the house. You'll block him, and your face will never look at him. You'll always be like this, your hand will be touching him, maybe you have a cushion holding him, and you're just blocking him, and as soon as it settles down, you back up, you move away. 30 seconds later, hey buddy, what's up? What do you want to do today? 30 seconds later, light switch.
Wow.
Because he's under control. And so, as a matter of fact, there was a study where they took children that were clinically diagnosed with colic as babies. And they were allowed to cry for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And as soon as they were quiet for 30 seconds, mom would pick them up and hold them. And 70% of those children lost their colic diagnosis simply because of that. Parents shaped colic right out of them. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So from infants to adults, it works very well. But there is some problems with punishment that you're going to want to know. Here's some risks. The child will imitate your style. So if you've got like a teenager and you're overwhelming them with like, hey, I told you, you gotta this and you gotta that, or even a young child. And whenever an adult gets loud or scary, kids, they can get nervous or scared themselves, and because they're feeling overwhelmed. Parents, when an adult raises their voice, kids get shy. And so they've been taught, like when you've got a problem you can't solve, you just have to overwhelm the opposition with aggression. That's what it is. I'm being overwhelmed, so that's the play, okay. I want that thing from my brother and sister. I must overwhelm them just like I'm overwhelmed with my mom and dad. So punishment can feel like that. So if you're going to give a verbal reproof that's scary, loud, and redirective, which is perfect for when they're crossing the street and there's cars coming. Hey, stop, get back here. That's fine, because their life isn't on the line. But there's most of the other time they don't need that. And you don't want to do that in the house because you want to use a regular voice when you're out in the community. You don't want to have to, because we all know that children have been conditioned, for the most part, that they can behave worse out in public because mom and dad aren't likely to raise their voice. And or they don't hear that loud, angry voice, which is the sign that mom and dad are truly mad. They don't hear it out at Walmart or church or wherever. So they're going to behave differently than when they're at home. When it's no holds barred, there's nobody looking in, and I can nail you if I want, kid, and I'm the boss here. So be very careful when you punish, that you use a regular voice, you're businesslike, you're neutral, because your child's going to imitate your style. Secondly, children will work to avoid whoever is delivering the punishment unless the reinforcement to punishment ratio is correct. Yeah, they will stay away. They will learn to not like me if I overpunish. Timeouts and scoldings, lectures. If I sit them down and shame them, they'll just stay away from me. As a matter of fact, our therapists never even start with a child until they make some kind of approach behavior towards us. Maybe that's like running up to us to get a hug, or making eye contact, or even just maybe a glance. And I remember one time I pulled into the driveway of the house, and I came in. Mom said, "Oh, sorry, Paul," but he ran upstairs crying because I said Mr. Paul was here. I was like, "Oh, I've got my work cut out for me this afternoon," and I did, and I had to repair that because I put so many demands on him, like card work, and then sit here, let's color over here, come on, what do you call this? Yeah, let's play, come on. And it was just so fast and furious, so the 3.5-year-old, I just wore him out. And so I always have to stay, like if I punish once, I better be reinforcing 10 times. And that's your ratio. Benefits of punishment, you get a decrease in problem behavior, leads to an increase in contacting neutral and manufactured reinforcement. How to punish. Run a lot of trials to weaken behavior. Use multiple kinds of voices and tones to create more control in other settings. Try to have no delays between behavior and consequence, especially if you've got little ones and they're like grabbing for the plug or they got their knife and they're going to stick it in a plug. Just pull them back immediately. No. And then as soon as they're, no. And then we've learned through the science of behavior analysis that if something else happens, anything, like if a sound happens or another child runs in and touches a child, and I say, no. The behavior of...
Which one?
Yeah, was it being touched or was it reaching out to stick this thing in the socket? So you really want it to be immediate, no delays. And for adolescents, it's not like that, it's very different. There can be long delays. Timeout's a fascinating procedure that you can take everywhere. Especially if they're little, you can put them in timeout in a grocery cart or make them walk. Inclusionary timeouts is when they can see other kids. This is, like if I do a timeout, it's my favorite way because they see all the fun happening around them. And as soon as they're in timeout, we ramp it up, it's party time to make the timeout more costly. Because here's the thing, in the research, the time in timeout is not important, especially with running a lot of trials to weaken behavior. We've learned that you can put a child, this whole, like if they're 4, keep them in timeout for 4 minutes. It's just like a general guide. It's not worth anything. You can put a 4-year-old in timeout for 30 seconds and then pull them out and say, remember, no hitting. Oh, you hit again. You're timeout again. Now there's 2 times that the behavior's been punished. 10 seconds later, you're done. Give me 5. Okay, let's get out. Remember, no hitting. Oh, you hit again. Now you're in timeout again. The child's been in timeout 3 times now. And I'm turning away. I'm on my phone. I'm very interested in something else, but I'm actually watching the child, but I can't let them see that I'm watching it. So I'm on my phone, fake phoning. And I say, hey, yeah, you ready to get, let's go to timeout, let's get out. And so, which is very different from a child that's been in timeout for, 45 seconds or a minute and a half, and has been there just for that length of time. Whereas child A was in timeout 3 times. So I've run more trials. And you can do that. And the surprising thing to me that I found in the research is that the child doesn't have to be done crying, they don't have to be under control, that you can let them out, and if they engage in the problem behavior, back in. So that's good news, because I've had parents I've seen children in timeouts for way too long.
When they come out and they're crying, they say they're sorry or whatever, and the parent gives them a hug, like
Sure,
that's
sure.
positive.
Yeah. And the only thing you want to be very careful of is to give a lot of hugs at other times. Because if the hug only shows up after timeout, then guess who's going to want to be in timeout a lot? Which can set up a very wicked behavior chain.
Well, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on I think some of the parenting norms now is like, don't give your kid a timeout, give them a time in, where basically you're sitting with them one-on-one. I've tried that with my kid. Yeah, like you sit with, like instead, like you're removing them from the situation, from the behavior, wherever it happened, and basically redirecting them. And so like if they were hitting their brother or whatever and knocking something over or not doing what you asked them to do, taking them and sitting with them somewhere and maybe reading a book to redirect them. Like, what's your thought on that? It does not work for us.
What age shall we talk about?
4.
Yeah, that whole sitting with them, did it have to be studied? I don't like it. I think that's odd.
Okay.
And I think a 4-year-old can take being away from mom, who's in the house anyway.
Right.
And they're all the time in the house with me. Why do I need mom to sit by me while I'm sitting in this chair?
Right.
That's oddball.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a mom call me about a 1.5-year-old. Like, I can't keep my 1.5-year-old in timeout. And I was like, whoa, hold on, too young, way too young for timeout. No, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't go back. She wanted her kid in timeout and wanted some way to keep in timeout.
Oh gosh.
Oh, it's a disaster sometimes. Guys familiar with my gym down there in Mechanicsburg? We had a child that was 11, 12 years old and very, very aggressive. He was very good at jumping the counter and turning up the stereo all the way, very smart. And so all the kids, their sound system was loud in there. He would shred stuff, open the door, run away, throw balls, wreck the crafts. It was just, he was super smart. And so we instituted a timeout program. And the first day he was in timeout, it was 2 hours stint in there. He was in timeout cumulatively 45 minutes, but only 2 minutes at a time. And then and then as soon as it was done, yeah, let's go, man, let's go play. Oh, no, you can't do that, timeout. Oh, you can't do that, timeout, let's go play. And so it was light switching for 45 minutes. It was very intense because some of the children, they have so much energy, you can't even fuck with them. And then the next day, it wasn't 45 minutes, it was like 15 minutes. And then I've got a graph here I can show you that it was 45 minutes, then this was 6:27. 3 weeks later, we also had another high, 30 minutes. But then a couple months, we had 0 time and time out, and then we had a little spike. And then another month or two, there was no aggressions, and then we were done. But it took a strong timeout. It took putting them in timeout just for a couple of minutes, and then bringing them back and having an awesome time. So timeout was really horrible. Like when kids are asking for a break from school during the class, hey, can I have a break? You know, and their IEP might say, you know, hey, give the child a break when they ask. And the break has to be very boring. Like, yes, go out in the hallway and sit in that chair. Like, that's your break. Well, everybody, all of your colleagues are in the classroom working hard and studying and reading and doing their job. Your break time consists of sitting in the chair and looking at the other white wall. That's it. So that break time is better than class time. And so timeout's got to be like reversely valuable. It's got to hurt. It's got to be painful. So that time in is awesome. But it requires, again, moms and dads to turn it on as soon as they're done. And you can give it just seconds, 10 seconds. After they're out of timeout, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't understand. Who is this parent? Why are they not holding me hostage with angry feelings? So that's the play. I want to use my little graph, EAST, escape, attention, sensory tangible. I want to use that as a guide for my intervention. How am I going to do this? And then, for behavior reduction, I want to hit it hard according to these functions, but then I've got to reinforce like crazy the competing behavior. Like I've got to give. Like I remember when our children were teenagers. I think it was Ellie that stayed out way past curfew, and then like the next day she's like, "Hey, I want to go out late with my friends." And I'm like, "Well, guess what? We don't trust you." And Erica, her sister, was sitting right on the couch with her. She was like, "Oh, they don't trust you." And so you're gonna have to build our trust. And so you've got. This was really counterintuitive. I didn't like it, but it actually worked. We'll let you go tonight, but if you're not back by 12, all bets are off, and we're going to develop a new plan for you. And she did. She went out and she was back by I think it was 11 or 12 or something like that. But so anyway, so let's work on some of our scenarios. Maybe you've got some questions we can take and
Yep.
cut here. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks everybody for joining us. If you've got